We're gonna start by dicing up some yellow onions or Spanish onions, whichever you have. Today I'm gonna use one large, one small. Typically I wanna do at least one large or one medium to large onion per person. That way we know we have enough caramelized onions and everyone gets a nice little spoonful of onions because you know they render down to anything. So like I said, we're gonna get that diced up, get that into the pan with some olive oil, salt and pepper into a nice heavy duty Dutch oven. I'm going to cook them on a medium, well right now I just have it preheating, but I'm gonna cook it on a medium heat for about 45 minutes or about 30 to 40 minutes. Because it's not much onions, until it caramelizes and it's gonna be nice and tender and ready for the next step. All right, my onions are ready. So my oil's warmed up. Okay, like I said, I have it on a medium heat. You can hear my pot is not too hot. So it's sizzling, but it's not gonna start burning right away. I'm gonna throw in 2 cloves of garlic. I'm just gonna smash them. I'm not gonna dice them. They'll cook slower and more sweeter this way. And right away I'm gonna hit it with some salt. My preference is always some flaky salt. That way I have a little bit better control. And I'm gonna pepper my mixture as well. Get that stirred. And the salt is going to help draw out some of the liquid from the onions, which is what we want. We don't want a lot of burning, a lot of caramelization right away. We want this to cook slow. That way it can get sweet. All right, that looks good. All right. Ready to go. Got that. Make sure the heat's good and cover. Like I said, I'm going to cover it and leave it cooking for about 30 minutes. I'm going to check it in about 10 minutes just to make sure that in fact it's not burning, and if it is, I can always throw in a little splash of water just to create some extra moisture, extra steam. Stir and cover it again, but you want to keep this covered for as long as possible. As a matter of fact, let me just drop it down to a 4 just to be on the safe side, because you know electric stoves, they have a mind of their own. All right, see you in a few. Hey guys, so it's been about 35 minutes or so, and that's how the onions are looking. As you can see, it still has a lot of moisture. I've stirred it 2 or 3 times since I covered it. And I'm going to go ahead and turn these off now because that's more than enough reduction. I don't want them to see how the pan is starting to stick a little bit, so that's good enough. I'm not going to worry about cooking them any further because I'm going to cook them in the oven with the meat, and they're going to continue to just melt away and get super sweet and create a really great flavor for the oxtails. All right, so that's done. Go ahead and move this. There we go. See? Ever so slightly started to caramelize. That is good enough. Other recipes, sometimes you would want to take this even darker, especially for like some onion soup, French onion soup, or pot pies, or anything that you really want like some rich flavor. Definitely you want to get that much more browner, but this is good enough. So I have my cast iron pan here. You could already see that some of the smoke is starting to come up, so this is plenty hot. I'm gonna go ahead and drop that heat just a little bit. All right, just tie that on for a second and I'll slide it right back on. Over here, I have my oxtails already seasoned. They've been seasoned already for a while. Obviously, if you can season these the night before, even better. Just the longer you marinate them, the best, you know, the better they are. But I had to get these earlier. I didn't have them already on hand, so they've been marinating for about 2 hours now. That's good. Since I started my onions in the pot, I took these out the refrigerator so that they can start to warm up and come to room temperature. You never really want to, when you're searing meat, you never want to sear the meat cold straight from the refrigerator, because it'll just seize too rapidly and it just doesn't cook. That just kind of makes more of a tougher meat. So I like to bring my meat to room temperature or close to, and then get it ready for the cooking process. Like I said, it just cooks better. So my cast iron is nice and hot. My oxtails are ready. I have some flour here on the side for dusting. And these are the ingredients that I used today. This is just one of a couple of different recipes that I have for oxtails. Really, really simple. I just want to get these in the oven, get them going, and they're going to be yummy and delicious. I'm not stewing these. They're not, you know, Caribbean style, Puerto Rican style, however you want to call it. These are going to be cooked in my cast iron in the oven, and they're going to be just as good. But it's not going to be a stew. It's going to be a more drier meat. It's going to have a gravy to it, but that's it. So these are ingredients I used. Very simple. Some peppercorn, some complete garlic, paprika, and some cumin. If you haven't noticed, I'm a fan of cumin. These are ready to go. These are some of the items that I'm going to be using later. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so I took my pan off the heat just for a minute because I saw the smoke. Put it right back on the heat. I'm gonna add a little bit of a cooking oil. This is vegetable oil. You do not want to use an olive oil. Use like a vegetable or flaxseed or a canola oil, something with a high burning temperature, because you're gonna get a lot of smoke. So go ahead and get that in the pan. The meat's gonna render its own grease, and that's gonna be great. All right, so with your clean hands, go ahead and just lightly coat your oxtail. Oops. You don't want it too heavy, you know, shake it off. Just get a few in the pan. That's more than enough flour. The flour is going to help with the browning. It's also going to help later on just get a nice little gravy for the meat, you know, so it's not so watery. There we go. That's the pan. I'm not worried about the pan that, you know, it cooled off. It's going to get hot. Cast iron gets really hot, so I'm not worried about putting my meat into a steaming hot pan right now. The temperature is going to come right back, so no worries. So I'm going to go ahead and get these floured. I'm going to sear them for a few minutes on each side to get nice color. And once I get a few more in there and a few more flipped, I will come back. Okay, so they've been browning for a few minutes. As you can see, my pan is not overcrowded. It's also not swimming in oil. Whenever you want to brown meat, you know, follow these rules. A little oil, hot pan, not too hot. Don't overcrowd the pan. Otherwise, if you put too much meat in here, your meat and, you know, everything's like touching and crowded up, your meat is essentially going to just start steaming, and that's a different cooking process. Right now, I just want to sear them, get, you know, color on both sides. All that little, all those little, you know, burnt pieces, and they look burnt, they're really not. All of that's going to come off, and it's just going to make everything taste so much yummier. Like, look at that, come on. That's seared meat. All right, so I'm going to get these out of the pan into my bowl over there, stay nice and warm, and start working on the second batch. Nice color. That's all going to equal to tons of flavor. And you're not cooking meat all through. As you can tell, you know, this is not cooked. You just want color because it's going to continue to cook in the oven for about, these are small, so I'm going to cook them for about 2.5 hours. I mean, that's way more than enough. But, you know. Anyway, I'll be back in a few minutes. Hey guys, Alright, so these are done. Put them in the pan with everything else. Nice color. Good enough, you know. Doesn't have to be too much. That's more than enough. All of that's going to make for awesome, awesome flavor. Alright, put that to the corner. Now, I lowered the heat on my cast iron, and like I said earlier, you can easily slide the pan on and off the heat because I have an electric stove, so you know, that's to deal with that. Now, all those little bits and stuff that it's on the pan, we're gonna go ahead and add the base to our gravy that we're gonna make, or you know, the extra flavoring that's gonna go with the oxtails. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. That's gonna add acidity to the pan. Couple turns, maybe 2.5 tablespoons. All of that's gonna help lift any of that little yumminess off the pan, and obviously add its flavor. I'm gonna go ahead and add, with one hand obviously, a little bit of concentrated tomato paste. I like the ones in the tube only because they last longer. I don't like the ones in the can because I typically don't use that much. I'm gonna add a little bit of browning sauce. Okay, and right away I'm gonna get my onions into the pan. Alright, give me 1 second, let me clean this bowl. Alright, so the onions are in here with the Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of browning sauce, and some tomato paste into the pan. All that is gonna be so delicious. You see how much the onions got, you know, melted away and all that? I mean, it's crazy, right? How much onions melt. All of that is flavor. What I'm going to do also is add a little bit of demi-glaze, or, you know, concentrated bouillon. This one is the roasted beef base. I'm just going to add a little bit of that. About a teaspoon. I don't want to make it too salty. I like to add a little bit, and if I need to add anything else to it, I can. The meat, like I said, was seasoned with that complete seasoning. And the reason I did that is because I know I'm adding in Worcestershire, I'm browning, and, you know, demi-glaze, and the onions had a little salt and pepper on them. So because I'm adding all those extra layers to it, I don't want to oversalt my meat in the beginning, because then, you know, obviously it's going to be too salty. So look at all of that. Once it's all, you know, kind of like heated through, and you can see all your sauces have kind of married together, go ahead and add a splash of water, just, you know, same bowl, a little bit of water. Alright, give that a stir. Basically all of this is just going to wind up melting away. Alright, now I'm going to clean spoon carefully, just taste it very little bit, just to make sure that this is not too salty. Delicious, and it's not. It's very cooked all day flavor, you know, like a nice, you know, just cooked meat all day long. It's delicious, but it's not salty. So before the liquid goes away, I'm going to quickly add in all of my meat back to the pan. Make sure you get all of that goodness. Alright, put that in the bowl. And give this a stir. You want to get this all nicely coated as best as possible. My heat's, you know, it's consistent. I don't want the pan to cool down too much. I want it to stay nice and warm. There you go. My oven is preheated. I have my oven preheated at 375. caramelization and all that layers of flavor. It's gonna taste in 2 hours. This is gonna be like if I cooked it, you know, low and slow all day long. It's gonna be delicious. You see? You wanna make sure all the pieces are nicely covered. Kind of hard to do one-handed, but we'll get it done. See all that? Make sure you layer it on. All right. Let me give it a final stir and I'll be right back. Alright, so I added in about a quarter cup of water, not a lot at all. You don't want too much liquid in the pan. Like I said, this is not stewed oxtails. But you just want a little bit because, you know, you want all the flavors to marry and you want a little moisture in the pan. Alright, so I'm going to get this pan off the heat, wrapped in foil, and into the oven. I'll be right back. Do it very carefully because this is a hot pan. And we're going to go ahead and get this in a, like I said, preheated oven, 375. And I'm going to set my timer for 2 hours. That's going to be plenty for these. These oxtails are not very big at all, so 2 hours should be great. In about an hour and a half, I'm going to check them and make sure that they're not burning and that they're cooking well. Remember, keep this foil nice and tight because you want that steam. And then at about an hour and a half is when I can go ahead and add my rest of the ingredients, and I'll be right back. Guys, so it's been about an hour and a half, and like I said, I'm gonna check them, just releasing some of that hot steam so I don't burn myself. Ooh, the kitchen smells very good. All right, there we go. An hour and a half. You can see that the pan is not dry because we added that little bit of water, and we also tightly wrapped it with foil so that it continues to steam. As you can see, the oxtails are already looking really, really tender. They're very, very tender already. These are small oxtails. Definitely they're gonna cook longer, about another, you know, 30-40 minutes, and then they'll be done. So let's go ahead and give everything a stir. And at the same time, let me go ahead. I'm gonna add my carrots. I went ahead and I just diced them, sliced them on a bias. You could do that, you know, it's just preference, it doesn't matter. So go ahead and add that. There's a little bit of water in there, and that's not a problem at all. And a little bit of butter beans. You could omit the beans, you could omit the carrots, you could eat it just like that. But why not? Make it a little bit more well-rounded. A little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt. Remember, I didn't over salt the gravy nor the meat itself. So, you know, when you're cooking, you want to add salt and pepper in layers. There we go, a little bit more. All right, I'm gonna give this all another stir, get it all incorporated really, really well. Wrap it up again very tightly in foil. Back into the oven for about another 30 minutes, just until the carrots are nice and tender, but still have a bite to them. That'll also give a little bit more time for the meat to cook. And the beans, you know, they're soft because they're from a can. These are not fresh, nor frozen, they're from a can. So they're already tender to begin with, but you just wanna, you know, make sure all the flavors are nice and incorporated. All right, so let me go ahead and get that a good stir. Wrap it, put it back in the oven, and I'll be back. All right, well, about 2.5 hours later, and ooh, it's hot. There we go, we're done. Where is this smell-o-vision, right? All right, there we go. Oxtails, slowly cooked in the oven. You have some carrots and some butter beans. And it is super, super tender. It smells like it's been cooking all day. All right, let me give it a good stir. Get it plated, and I'll be right back with you guys.